have different flavors, and olive oil is being made of olive. And extra virgin is like, it's very, it's strong. So you wouldn't want anything to mess with the flavor of the chocolate. So I would recommend, if you're going to add a little bit of oil, you just, inexpensive vegetable oil is fine. But that's a really good question. And you know what? Part of being a chef and cooking in the kitchen is, it's really important to pay attention to all those details. And a lot of times the way you learn about those details is by making a mistake. And it's okay to make mistakes, Actually, that's really how you learn, is by making mistakes. That's what I think. And a lot of times if you go to a restaurant and you have a dish, so a lot of times you don't know what goes on behind the scenes, you might have a piece of cornbread underneath your filet of beef when it should have been a portobello mushroom, but they ran out of mushrooms, so they gave you cornbread and it was actually better. So the kitchen is a good place for learning how to live life. That's my theory. Any other questions?
Go ahead, Angel.
I tried strawberry with pineapple before and chocolate, and
Ask her how to use it.
how do I incorporate it, pineapple into the strawberries? Do I cut it up and then put it on?
Yeah. Yes. So have you ever been to a wedding where they had a chocolate fountain?
No. Remember when we went to the thing and the chocolate was dripping down the side? Yeah.
Or dessert fondue? So yes, you can, if you're going to do something like chocolate fondue or for these purposes, because why do you think it would?
I'm sorry, we couldn't hear you. Can you take them out? What? Can you say that again?
So why do you think dipping pineapple in the chocolate might not work?
It might mess with the flavor.
No, actually, I think it would be delicious. I think any kind of fruit with, I love pineapple, and I love it with chocolate would be delicious. No. So the thing with, how pineapple is very, very liquidy, has lots of liquid in it. And, strawberries have a lot of liquid in them too, but they're encased by this wonderful skin and these little seeds. And it's a whole lovely little entity unto itself. And the moisture's on the inside. So that means you can dip it. But the pineapple, the chocolate, the short answer is, I don't know how to make it say a short answer. The short answer is it would slide off because it's too wet.
It slides off because it's too wet.
It would slide off because it's too wet. So here's the chocolate. Here's the rest of the chocolate that we melted in the microwave.
Okay.
And another interesting fact that
You
know how when you pick up chocolate and somebody will give you chocolate and you say, oh wow, I'll eat that later, and you stick it in your pocket, and then your mother, your husband, your wife, whoever does the laundry, goes in and does your pants, and then they empty out the pockets and they're like, oh my God, why is there melted chocolate in your pocket? So chocolate melts at the temperature a little under the temperature of the body. So that's why whenever you're holding chocolate in your hand, if you're on Halloween or something and you have a Hershey's Kiss, if you hold it for a long time, you open your hand and it's melted. And some people have hotter hands than others. A lot of times in the baking world, in the confectionery world in particular, they look for chefs who call, I can't think of the word, chocolatier. They look for them that you want cold hands. So I love doing things like this, but I do not have cold hands. So when you work with chocolate, it's a good thing to have cold hands. That's a little extra piece of information. So we're gonna start dipping. So I got these fancy toothpicks. You really can use any kind of toothpicks. These are probably for pigs in a blanket or something. But whenever I make anything, I always want to make sure that the things that I make with the product are attractive, that the platter that I use is pretty. I tried to find mint to display our strawberries with, but I could only find very little containers of mint and they were too expensive. So I did not purchase those. So what we're gonna do, first of all, we're gonna check the chocolate because I've had this sitting here for a little while and we don't want it too hot, but this is now kind of like it's a little too thick. So we're gonna get it a little warm at 30 seconds again, because we want it loose enough so that we can dip the strawberries in it. So these I've washed already. Very important note with this, probably the most important piece of information I've given you all day is this. So, you know, you always want to wash off strawberries because you don't know where they came from. We know where they came from, but they might have dust on them or, you know, a little dirt from the garden. So you also want to make sure that you rinse them off. Don't soak them in the water because then you'll have to throw them out and they should never be frozen. So once you wash,
Wait.
yes?
I'm sorry. Which one of these consistencies, what was the consistency? I missed that part. Is this consistency the right consistency?
Of the chocolate?
Yes.
Okay, so this is, I'll show you. So this is okay, but if you were standing here and you could see, it's not even warm, so it can be a little warm, which will allow for it for you to you know, cover the berries more easily. So I don't even know exactly how to tell you what, it needs to be loose. So this is
Okay.
it's still not loose enough. So, and you know what? The best thing to do, oops, wait a minute. You know, a lot of what goes on in the kitchen is, I think, especially when you're learning something new, like anything, it's trial and error. I mean, you look at a recipe book and it says do A, B, and C. And, you know, as a chef, you can look at the recipe and you know that there's a lot of information in between the lines that they may not be telling you because they don't either have the space or the time or whatever. But a lot of learning is trial and error. So if you put the strawberry in this bowl when it wasn't loose enough, you'd see that it didn't really cover the strawberry. And you'd be like, oh, wow, let me throw this chocolate back in the microwave for a few minutes and see how it does. So this is, I think this needs a little more, one more. Any other questions while I'm standing here? No? All right. So what I'm going to do is stick I'm going to put the toothpick right in the center of the berry. We're going to put those on there. Any other questions? I don't hear any other people. So do we know where everybody's from? Like, are there people from Spain or anything online today?
I am from Mexico, but I live in Boston.
You live where?
Woo!
Near Boston.
You live near Boston?
Yeah, but I am Mexican.
Wow, wonderful. Welcome. Well,
Thank you.
well, Mexico has, I think there's some wonderful dishes. I can't think, sauce mole, doesn't that have chocolate in it?
Yes, yes, it has
Did I say it
Mole.
correctly?
mole.
Mole, okay, good. Good, all right. So now this is a little, look, I'll do the spoon. So you can see, it's like, before it was like a little, almost like mayonnaise. Now it's very loose. And that will be much easier because otherwise you have to do a lot of effort to get the berry into the thing. We don't want to work too hard. We want to have fun and eat well, but we don't want to kill ourselves. I don't think I've ever eaten sauce mole, but it always sounded very good to me. Very delicious. All right. All right. So we're just going to keep going with these. The other
Question.
yes.
How long do the strawberries last once they're dipped in chocolate? Because I know when I have them just fresh in the house, you know, it's a couple of days and then they start getting all furry.
Good. That's a very good question. So I would say once you're saying the finished product.
Yes.
Okay. So ideally, if you were having a dinner party tomorrow, I would make them tonight and serve them tomorrow. That's ideal. You could go out 2 days. You certainly would be okay, safe to do it in 2 days, but I would say the night before would be the best, because what happens is, actually, I think this is fine. What happens is the fruit starts to shrink, and then it lets off a little bit of, it seeps a little bit of gas.
Right.
So, and then it starts to like weep, and you don't want that. You want it all to be beautiful. So that would be my, I would say the night before, 1 day.
Would you refrigerate them overnight then if you made them the night before?
Yes, definitely refrigerate them.
Okay.
Do not put them in the freezer. I think sometimes people, I read one post somewhere and somebody said, oh, can I freeze them? I'm going to freeze the berries and then dip them. And I said, no, that's definitely not a good idea. But, if people don't know, it's good to ask the question. So I'm taking this off here, and I'm going to stick this in these. So this is what, I didn't have time to show you all this, but this is white chocolate, which I mentioned before. And this is gel coloring. So you literally like take a toothpick and dip it in the gel and then dip it in the white chocolate and mix it. And then let's say you were having a baby shower and you wanted to have all pink strawberries with yellow dots on it or something for the baby's shower, you could do that with white chocolate, which is kind of, it's fun. I think a lot of people assume right away that if it's chocolate, you can't put anything in it. You can't put a lot of things in it. You have to do gel. You can't do, in the old days they had liquid food coloring, which is not a good idea, because anything like that, you run the risk of having the chocolate seize. Oh. Okay. All right. So part of teaching is talking, talking and cooking. So we're going to dip the strawberries now, unless you think that I'm just going to keep talking forever and you'll never see the finished product. But that's not the case, I promise. Any other questions? Nope. Okay, so you could see, so this is just a plastic coupler on here, and the chocolate, and it's a little loose. And the beauty of that plastic coupler is that the beauty of it is that you don't, a lot of times you have a pastry bag and you have a metal tip and you obviously can't put that in the microwave. So this means you can swap tips and you can get it warm if you need to. Okay. All right, we're going to start dipping here. So I think we're pretty good on time here. So this is what I'm going to do. This is the whole point of all of this conversation, right? All the talking here. So here we are with the strawberry. So the other thing you want to know, there are a lot of different sizes of strawberries, of course. There's fraise de bois, which is French for, it's a baby strawberry, strawberry of the woods, fraise de bois. So those are tiny. Those come out sometime in the summer. They're divine. You could find them somewhere if you're marching along in the woods, or sometimes people have them in their garden. They're beautiful. I would not be dipping those. And they're the particular kind of Driscoll that are huge, that are fun, but you really want to look for strawberries that are all pretty much the same size. So basically, I hope you can see this is just what I'm doing. You also could use some sort of a cylinder. I have a bowl here, but you could use a measuring cup, a glass measuring cup. I don't have this quite deep enough. I would rather have this deeper. The deeper it is, the better. And, then you dunk it in there and then just let it drip off a little bit. And I have I have I have wax paper here. You can use, I tried to find, they sell parchment paper, believe it or not, at the grocery store. I could not find any. That went along the ways with the flour and the yeast. Because of COVID, everybody's baking like crazy. I don't know what they're doing with the parchment paper, but there wasn't any there for me. So, so we're gonna do some white and some dark. No? Let's see. Any other questions? I wish you were here to eat these, all of you out there. Okay, so now we're doing the white. And then I'm going to show you a technique. Hopefully this works. Where we can, we're going to make stripes. And that's called wet on wet. So we have to do that and make sure that, that it's wet. And when we put these other things on it, we're gonna make sure it's wet too. So I'm just gonna dip all these and then we're gonna put things on them. So sometimes it's kind of fun to have salt. I wanted to have like smoky sea salt. I didn't find any of that. This is regular salt, just for fun. I have coconut. You could also toast this if you wanted to. And I have crushed, chopped up walnuts. You could use pecans, you could use almonds. Pistachios are lovely because they're green. That's a pretty, makes it pop. This is also from the grocery store, and these are just all fun little cute things to put on. This is sanding sugar. So again, if you had a baby's birthday party or a shower or something, you could do that. So we're making progress here. So, and you want to make sure that once you do this, we are gonna, you have to make sure that you get the whatever's being dipped in it pretty quick so that they don't dry. But they really have to kind of go in the fridge in order to set up. Any other questions? Anybody want to come over for dinner? Having duck, I heard. Who likes duck out there? Anybody have duck? No, I don't hear it.
I love duck.
Oh, good. Who said that?
Me,
Me,
Marcia.
Marcia. I like duck too.
I love duck too.
Oh, good. Well, my friend here who's helped me do all these technical things, God bless him, he was telling me about how he goes to this wonderful duck farm in Hudson Valley. What's the name of it?
Hudson Valley Foie Gras.
Huh?
Hudson Valley Foie Gras.
It's called Hudson Valley Foie Gras. So I understand a lot of companies are, that's kind of problematic now, I think, because they discovered, or a lot of the PETA people discovered that perhaps treating the animals that way isn't so good. But if for any of you who've ever had foie gras, I don't know, I'm an animal lover, but I also like all those things. It's hard sometimes. All right. Okay, I'm gonna try this, and I don't know, it might be too hard. Yep.
No, we're supposed to be waiting. Come in now. But this is so delicious. What are you doing?
Okay,
She's eating the strawberries.
I know. That's the only frustrating part about doing this online is that I can't feed anybody. You know, that's a chef. It's like I can't feed if I can't feed people.
Well, if you give us your address, we're happy to come over.
Okay. Let's see. I have to warn you.
So good.
Oh, no.
Round to the nuts. Oh, wait a minute. We're not on mute. Sorry, y'all.
Okay, so I'm gonna dip a little bit. I'm gonna put a little bit of little salt on this, just for color. Then we're gonna put coconut on this one. Can you see? Everybody see okay? I'm doing the nuts. Oops. So really the beauty of it is you could do anything. Okay. Here's my idea for red, white, and blue here. So the other thing you can do with these pastry bags, if you want to be bothered, is you can put them in a bag, like a baggie like this, and then make sure it's sealed up tight and put it in hot water, and then so see, this one will be, oh, here we go. This would be perfect for a baby's birthday. I mean, a baby, like a shower, that blue, baby blue. And then we have little red ones. Woo! Those go all over the place. Okay. All right. And then a little sanding sugar. Let's see. And you want to kind of put this, you know, the sanding sugar, do it over something else so that you don't, you know, you want it all to look like a piece of art, right? So that it's all contained. And then with these, I'm going to finally do the red, white, and blue. So what other things would people like to have a class about? That's what I want to know.
I want to learn how to make a souffle.
Oh, that's pretty fun. That's pretty easy, actually. That's another, I like teaching things that people are afraid to do because it's so much fun. Because I think in life, I'm such a philosopher, I can't help myself. So I think in life, like the kitchen's such a good metaphor for life because, I mean, you kids aren't like this. You kids aren't afraid of anything. But when you get past about 12, you know, we all tell ourselves all these things about why we can't do A, B, and C. So it's fun as a teacher to, it's just so much fun to be able to show somebody how to do something that they think is really difficult. And people tend to be afraid of what I find, chocolate, egg, anything to do with egg whites and fish. Not in that order particularly, but there are a lot of times they're just afraid of all those things. And there's no reason to be afraid. Now I have to move over here or you can't see me.
All right, can you also show us how to clean a fish then in a video? Because I've done it, but I've done it poorly.
That's all right. That's here. Okay, so see this? Can you see me? See, I can't see you now. I don't know what happened to the camera, but. So, and then the other thing you can do with this for fun is to just do little decorations. So this method's called wet on wet. So both chocolates are wet. A lot of times you want to do it and then you have a little bit of a design. You want to, and that was supposed to have, so here, this one I'm going to do, and see it's got a little hot. So this is, so there we have for the 4th of July. And I think we might have one more thing. We have a little, this is edible. I wanted to find some gold dust, which is a lot of fun, and edible gold leaf, which can be eaten. This is shiny. I don't know if you can see it, but this is kind of fun. And it almost makes it look like a piece of jewelry, not a piece of food, but of course, and you can eat it. So that's kind of fun. And then I have, that's pink. And then I have a little bit of green. Huh? These are all things, I'm not sure where all of you are, but these are all things that you could the gel paste and the things, the shiny stuff, all that stuff you can get at Michael's, which is, I don't know where you all are, but it's, Michael's carries everything. And this is the grocery store. So, and it has everything, stars, stripes, everything else. Okay, yes. So these that we just did have to go in the refrigerator. So we're gonna pop these in the fridge. And okay. And these we have to pop these in the fridge, and they'll set up for about an hour, and then you want them to be nice and firm. And you'll be able to tell if you touch them and it's sticky, then you'll know that it's not ready.
My family is not waiting for the fridge, as you can very well tell. The mother has eaten about 5 of them. She's just sneaking them and staying off the camera. I mean, what a mess over here. They're just having a really good time. They have dipped chocolates and nuts and sprinkles. And they're like, well, I gotta go get another batch of strawberries. So I'm telling you, they're enjoying this class.
Oh, good. So this one I did the other day. So this is an example of the strawberries shrinking a little bit. But this you can do. That's why I said get a styrofoam board or even a cake circle. You can like put it in. So this is the same technique as these, where you dip the strawberry in, but you have a long skewer. So then you can, have you ever seen people have like chocolate covered strawberries in a bouquet? Maybe a boyfriend or a girlfriend will want to do that for their boyfriend. And you could get a little, at a florist, they have floral tape so that you could run tape around this, and then you could make a whole bouquet of chocolate covered strawberries. So that was why I did that one for you, to show you that. And the rest of them are, these are we have stars and sprinkles and a little purple dust and some plain ones. And so that's a wrap, as they say.
Those look so good.
Yeah. Thank you all for coming. And, tell Barbara, or maybe you could send an email into Arts in Connecticut about what other classes you'd like to see, because I would love to do this again. It was great fun, and I'm very glad you came.
Thanks so much.
We'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys let us know what you would like to see, as we're getting ready to go into a 6-week course. So we're asking people to sign up, because if we have more than enough people on next week, that course will start, and she will give out her next ingredients. So you can be prepared for that class. Did you guys enjoy the class?
It was great.
We did. You guys say thank you. Everybody say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.